Hello and welcome everyone. We're going to be talking about the Magic the Gathering Arena Economy today, as it takes a little bit of getting used to, and I'd like to make the learning curve a little bit easier for everybody. So, obviously what you're trying to do on Arena, first of all, is trying to acquire cards for your decks, and that's really the goal of Arena, that you have the right cards to play whatever you want to be playing. So, as you can see, this is a page in my collection, and it says that I only have one of this card, but I have 4 of this card. The max you can have of any card is 4. After that, then you start gaining additional things instead of that card, as it was a feel bad issue where you could effectively waste copies of cards that you couldn't use. It doesn't work the same way as in real life, where you can sell them or trade them or do something else. Your cards are your cards. You cannot give them to anyone else. They are what they are. You cannot interact with other players that way. So, with that out of the way, let's talk about the other 3 currencies that exist. There are gems, there are gold, and there are wild cards. Wild cards can be converted at a 1-to-1 ratio to any card you want of the same rarity. And you'll notice that some are easier or harder to collect as you go. So let's talk about gold first, as it's the easiest to collect. You can obtain gold by completing your daily quests. I've already gotten 1 win today. The first win is worth 250 gold. The next 3 wins after that are worth 100 gold, so that means the first 4 wins are worth 550 gold. After that, you will obtain a mix of uncommons, which sometimes upgrade to rares or mythics, and smaller amounts of gold. You'll also notice that it says I would get 25 Mastery XP. I'll explain XP in a second. You'll also notice that this is a weekly amount of XP, where you get 250 XP per win for the first 15 wins of your week. Additionally, every single day you will receive a new quest. Your quest will give you either 500 gold and 500 XP, or 750 gold and 500 XP. If you have 3 of these at one time and you roll over to the next day, you will not receive a new one, so you will effectively lose that one, and your 3 will stay static. There are various ways to complete these. I usually like just having a constructed deck and just playing through it. Other people I know have special decks of each color that is entirely made up of 1-drops, and they'll play in the unrated queue, which is just the play queue. And they will just play all their cards, concede, play all their cards, concede. That's another way of doing it. I'm not as much a fan of that. I think it's a waste of time, and I enjoy playing Magic. Once per day, you're also allowed to re-roll one of your quests if you'd like. I would not recommend re-rolling any 750 gold ones, but re-rolling a 500 is pretty good. I've already re-rolled my quest for today, as I had a 500 here that was cast 20 green or white spells, and I decided I don't really want to cast those spells, and also it was 500 gold, so I re-rolled it and got lucky into a 750. So this is how you acquire gold. Now, gold has some limited uses. You can use it to buy packs if you'd like to. Packs are the way that you obviously acquire cards, and you can buy them at 1,000 packs, 1,000 gold per pack, or you can buy them at various other numbers. Alternatively, packs also give you wild cards instead of actual cards. This is the only way to get common wild cards. Common wild cards appear in about 1 in every 3 packs. Otherwise, every 6 packs that you open, you'll get an uncommon wild card in addition to the cards in your pack. Every 6 you get a rare. Approximately every 1 in 6 of those rares will be a mythic. As you can see right now, in 17 more packs, I will receive a mythic rare wild card instead. You can also open wild cards in packs of all rarities, and those will replace a card of the same rarity. For instance, if I opened an uncommon wild card, it would replace one of the uncommon slots in my packs. Magic the Gathering Arena packs are weird. They are 8 cards, so 1 rare, 2 uncommons, and 5 commons. This is different than draft boosters, which are used in the drafts that you can play on Arena. So let's talk about gems now. You've obviously got all this gold. I would not recommend buying packs with it. What I recommend is playing drafts with it. There are 3 types of drafts. Let's start with AI draft. There is almost always going to be an AI draft, which will be known as a quick draft. It will cost you 5,000 gold or 750 gems to enter, and you get at least 1 guaranteed pack. You get 2 if you make it to the end. You get a percentage of a pack each time. You'll notice that if you get 5 wins, you have a 35% chance of getting a second pack. This is not a great way to get packs, but it's a good way to convert your gold into gems, because they always pay out in gems. Alternatively, you can play in traditional best of 3 draft, which takes 10,000 gold or 1,500 gems to enter, and you can use it to get lots of packs and potentially lots of gems. You can also play premier drafts, which are human drafts, the same as traditional drafts are, but they're best of 1, so you get to play more games, theoretically. And instead you end up with a different number of gems. There are articles and Reddit posts and spreadsheets dedicated to figuring out if it's better to play best of 1 versus best of 3. I will let you go find those. But this is how you should be converting your gold into gems and into packs. Because remember, even if you completely bombed out of this, and 10,000 is a little steep, but we can go back and look at the other one, you'd still get 50 gems, and you still get an extra pack, which you could use to open wildcards. You also get to open 3 packs, and players will pass you a bunch of rares and commons at different rates than you'd expect. I've personally opened something on the order of 6 rares per draft on average, if I wanted to, and I've sometimes decide, hey, I don't really care about the cards in this pack for my draft deck. I'd obviously recommend playing to win, as that's the only way you're going to be able to keep doing this and continue playing drafts. But you will be able to use those extra rares if you want to. You can just say, hey, I want to draft an extra rare here instead of this good common or uncommon. Or maybe you won't have anything in the pack and you can just draft a terrible rare and you can use it to fill out your collection. And you will never open that rare again in a pack once you've acquired 4 of them. Okay, so now we've talked about the general economy for the most part. There's one last little bit. In addition to normal play queues, there are ranked queues. Your rank exists for both draft and for constructed. For constructed, you can either play standard or historic, and for draft, you just play either best of 1 or best of 3. You can go find your rank in your profile. Every single month, you'll notice we've got 12 days left in the month, as I'm recording this in the middle to end of January, that you get paid out a certain amount based on your rank. This is my constructed rank right now. For the first 3 tiers, you will receive 2 pips toward your next level for every win and lose 1 for each loss. So it's pretty easy if you have even a 40% win rate to make it all the way to platinum. And that's about where I'd recommend. You should at least make it to gold, because if you'll notice the rewards for each tier, gold pays twice as much as silver, but the difference between platinum and gold is 1 pack. So at the end of the month, this is a good way to get an extra little boost of gold, which you can use for drafts, and an extra number of packs, depending on what your ranking is. You'll notice I haven't played any limited this season, and you need to play at least 1 match of ranked to receive any rewards. So I'd recommend you play at least 1 per month, although I would recommend going up through the tiers. For limited, it's the same, so it's very easy to rack up a nice 2,000 gold and usually about 5 packs. I usually end up with a little bit more, as I tend to play a lot of constructed, as I enjoy Magic, and I enjoy playing ranked constructed right now. But to each his or her own. So that's another way that you get an influx of packs to turn into wildcards, etc. So that pretty much summarizes the actual economy. I was going to take a little bit at the end here to... Oh, there's one more little bit. I'm sorry that I forgot to talk about this. This is the XP issue. Every season, which is each time a new set is released, a major set release, not an additional one where they release Amonkhet or something else, you'll start at level 1. You'll be reset to the level 1. Every 1000 XP, which if you'll remember is either for weekly wins or some combination of weekly wins and completing your quests, you will receive a new level. Let's ignore the bottom structure. We don't want to talk about mastery today. But you'll receive approximately 2.5 packs per week. So you'll also get this throughout the duration of the season. Eventually you will run out of packs. It's because they've said, oh, you're supposed to receive 2 packs per week, and if you go faster than that, if you play more Magic, it's very easy to miss playing for days at a time and still get the maximum number of packs. Okay, that pretty much summarizes it, but now let's talk about patience and spending your wildcards that you've fought so hard to earn. So I'm going to be talking about this from Historic Pauper. I would recommend, though, that you have a constructed deck that you can play, generally that is not Historic Pauper, to earn those daily and weekly quest rewards. I personally find that Brawl is a good recommendation for a lot of players, as it's a really fun format online, and Singleton makes it a lot easier to play with those really cool rares and mythics that you open up in draft. And it's just generally a nice format. You can't play ranked, which is the only unfortunate thing, but it still works out really well. So let's talk about this. I'd recommend really being patient. You cannot build every single deck at the beginning. That's what makes this so different from stuff like Paper Magic or MTGO, is because commons are actually very hard to purchase because you cannot buy common wildcards at this time. It'd be really nice if Wizards did that, but let's not complain about it today. The bottom line means that you are going to be stuck playing the same deck for a while. So you should be happy with it. You should choose one deck and be very happy with that deck and expect to play it for a couple of months. Do not think that you can start out by just buying a bunch of different Pauper decks. The only way you can do that is if you say, hey, I'd like to buy a ton of Pauper decks. That means you're going to have to buy a ton of packs. You're going to have to spend something on the order of probably $100 to get a significant chunk of wildcards. And even then, you might have to spend $100 on each Pauper deck because of how many wildcards it'll take. So I would recommend that you choose something at the beginning that you like, and you then slowly improve it, and you slowly work on acquiring more wildcards and playing more drafts to acquire cards. There will be flashback drafts every once in a while, where an older set will appear. There's always the most recent set in Best of 1 and Best of 3. There will always be a quick draft, which is sometimes the most recent set, and sometimes it's an older set. Sometimes there will also be premier drafts or traditional drafts of older sets, which you can use to acquire those cards. So, when you're spending your wildcards, I'd highly recommend that you choose the cards that are most integral to the deck. I'm always happy to consult on Historic Pauper stuff. You can always find me at the MTGA Historic Pauper server, which I'll drop a link in the description below. But generally, if I was looking at this mono-black control deck, this one isn't perfectly updated, I would play all swamps. There's no point in spending wildcards on these. I would probably spend my wildcards on Mindstone and on Tendrils of Corruption, as those two cards are very hard to get. Other than that, there's a lot of fungible cards. I'd also probably buy Phyrexian Rager, as it's a card you cannot open in normal booster packs, as it's from Jumpstart, which is it ends up being the highest cost for Historic Pauper in terms of wild cards, as there's a bunch of really good Pauper cards in there, but it's really hard to just generally find those. If you're also starting out on MTG Arena, you're going to have access to one final thing that I'll talk about. It is the color challenge, which I might not have access to because I have completed it. So let's see here. It looks like I no longer have access to the color challenge. The color challenge is the basic collection. They kind of run you through, oh, this is how you play, and it will give you a bunch of rewards for arena decks. Some of these arena decks are actually quite useful, and you can use them for your daily challenges. That's how I started playing. But also you'll gain a lot of useful commons that are the backbones of decks like Burn and some parts of mono black control because you have a lot of cards that are useful as removal and other efficient cards that you'll find. So that's generally the synopsis. I'm happy to take any questions either in the comments below or you can ping me on Discord. Otherwise, I wish you very well in starting your arena journey, and may the force be with you.